First contact's tremors. Senior researcher Thiela's antennae quivered as she studied the strange signals emanating from the forbidden zone of space. Her crystalline workstation pulsed with data streams that shouldn't exist, radio waves, television broadcasts, and something called internet flooding from a planet that, by all normal metrics, should have been uninhabitable. First Assistant Ren, she called out, her voice carrying the musical tones typical of her species. Please verify these readings. Either my equipment is malfunctioning, or we've discovered something impossible. Ren glided across the observation deck, his translucent skin reflecting the soft purple light of their research station. Like all Vilaxians, his tall, slender frame seemed almost ethereal compared to the solid construction of the station around them. He peered at the readings, his 4 eyes widening in succession. A gravity well 3 times our homeworld's pull, he whispered. Atmospheric pressure that would crush our bodies. And yet. He gestured at the cultural transmissions streaming across their screens. Art. Music. Literature. There's an advanced civilization down there. Thiela manipulated the controls with her delicate fingers, bringing up more detailed scans. They call themselves humans, and their world is Earth. But how can any sapient species evolve in such conditions? The energy required just to move in that gravity. They must be incredibly strong, Ren noted, his skin shifting to a paler shade, a sign of anxiety among their people. Like the horror stories of Deathworlders from the Outer Rings. Thiela continued analyzing the transmissions, her scientific curiosity overwhelming her initial fear. Look at this, though. They have medical facilities dedicated to healing. They create beauty despite their harsh environment. They even care for weaker species on their world, something they call pets. The next few cycles were spent in intense study. Thiela and her team watched human broadcasts, decoded their languages, and pieced together a picture of Earth's civilization. The more they learned, the more their preconceptions were challenged. I must report this to the High Council, Thiela announced finally. These humans, they're different from the aggressive species we've encountered from high-gravity worlds. They channel their strength into protection, not domination. The council chamber was packed when Thiela presented her findings. The circular room's crystal walls reflected the assembled dignitaries' agitation, swirling patterns of color indicating their emotional turmoil. High Chancellor Voss spoke first, his age evident in the deep blue tint of his skin. You propose we initiate contact with a Deathworlder species? Have you forgotten the Piraxian incident? An entire research station, crushed by a single angry visitor who didn't understand our structural limitations. These humans are different, Thiela insisted, projecting images of Earth's hospitals, schools, and art museums. They understand gentleness despite their strength. Look at how they care for their young, their elderly, even their injured animals. That means nothing, Counselor Zinn countered. Any species can appear peaceful in isolation. But contact with weaker species often brings out latent aggression. Thiela played her final evidence, footage of human emergency responders rushing into dangerous situations to save strangers, of their doctors working tirelessly to heal, of their artists creating works of stunning beauty. They have power, yes, but they choose to use it for protection and creation. Their strength isn't just physical, it's in their capacity for compassion. The debate raged for days. Thiela and her team provided more evidence, answered countless questions, and gradually, the council's fear began to give way to cautious curiosity. Finally, High Chancellor Voss made his declaration, we will initiate contact, but with extreme caution. A single human representative will be invited to our station, with full safety protocols in place. As Thiela prepared the first contact message, Ren approached her workstation. Do you really think this is wise? He asked quietly. Everything we know about physics says a species from that gravity well should be unstoppable by our standards. If they decided to conquer us. Thiela's antennae curved in what humans would recognize as a smile. That's exactly why we should make contact now, as equals and potential friends. Because if humanity wanted to conquer, they would have done so already. Instead, they're out there, broadcasting their art and their dreams to the stars, hoping someone will answer. She sent the message, a simple greeting in Earth's most common languages, along with an invitation for dialogue. As the transmission beamed toward Earth, Thela felt a mix of fear and hope. They were about to challenge everything their society believed about Deathworlders, and she prayed she was right about humanity's nature. The response would change their civilization forever. Bridge between stars. The Vilaxian research station hummed with nervous energy as they prepared for humanity's arrival. Engineer teams had worked tirelessly to reinforce a section of the station, creating a heavy world zone that could withstand the presence of their Earth visitors. First Assistant Ren supervised the final safety checks, his skin flickering between shades of anxiety and excitement. Approaching vessel detected, announced the station's AI. Human diplomatic ship, stellar handshake requesting docking clearance. Thela stood with the welcoming committee, her scientific curiosity barely containing her instinctive fear as the airlock cycled. The human ship had been deliberately small, a gesture of peace that the Vilaxians deeply appreciated. When the doors finally opened, she got her first look at a real human. Ambassador Josephine Patel stepped through the airlock with deliberate grace, her movements carefully controlled in the station's lower gravity. She was shorter than any adult Vilaxian, but her presence filled the room in a way Thela couldn't quite explain. Behind her came a small team, 2 scientists, a cultural attaché, and a security officer. On behalf of Earth and humanity, Josephine said, executing a perfect Vilaxian greeting bow, we extend our hands in friendship. Her mastery of their formal greeting customs immediately put several nervous officials at ease. The humans had come prepared. They wore special gravity suits that distributed their weight more evenly across the station's floors, and they moved with exaggerated care, clearly well-trained in low-gravity protocols. But it was their eyes that captured Thela's attention, filled with the same wonder and curiosity she felt. During the formal reception, Thela found herself seated next to Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, one of the human scientists. She couldn't help asking the question that had burned in her mind for months. Aren't you frustrated, having to restrain your movements so carefully around us? Having to wear those suits just to avoid damaging our station? Marcus smiled warmly. Not at all. Being strong doesn't mean we have to use that strength all the time. On Earth, we're constantly careful around delicate things, art, instruments, small animals, children. It's part of who we are. The cultural exchange began in earnest. The humans shared their music, art, and scientific knowledge, while the Vilaxians demonstrated their crystalline technology and unique biological capabilities. But the real breakthrough came during an unexpected emergency. A support beam in the station's agricultural section began to fail, threatening their food production systems. Before the Vilaxian engineers could even begin evacuating the area, Security Officer Rajesh Kumar asked permission to help. Moving with surprising speed despite his gravity suit, he braced the failing beam with his bare hands, holding it in place while Vilaxian engineers rushed to effect repairs. How can you be so strong, yet so gentle? Ren asked later, after the crisis had passed. Our previous encounters with high-gravity species led you to expect brutes. Rajesh finished with a knowing smile. Strength without control is just violence. From childhood, we're taught that being stronger means having a greater responsibility to be gentle. The days that followed brought more surprises. The humans didn't just share their technology, they actively worked to adapt it for Vilaxian use. They designed hybrid systems that would allow the 2 species to work together despite their physical differences. Cultural attaché Sophia Chen organized what she called a cultural festival, where humans demonstrated their arts while adapting to Vilaxian aesthetic sensibilities. They played music at frequencies comfortable for Vilaxian hearing, created sculptures that incorporated both species' concepts of beauty, and even attempted to learn traditional Vilaxian dance movements. But it was during a shared meal, carefully prepared to accommodate both species' biology, that Thela finally understood what made humans truly unique among Deathworlders. Ambassador Patel was telling a story about her grandmother's cooking when an alert sounded. A minor technical issue, quickly resolved, but Thela had seen something remarkable. Every human's first reaction had been to move to protect their Vilaxian companions. "It's instinctive for you, isn't it?" she asked Josephine later. "This desire to protect?" "It's who we are," Josephine replied. "Our strength evolved not just to survive our world, but to help others survive it too. We've learned that being strong means nothing if you don't use that strength to help others." As the first diplomatic mission drew to a close, both species had changed. The Vilaxians began to see that physical power didn't have to mean danger, while the humans learned new ways to apply their strength with even greater precision and care. Before departing, Ambassador Patel presented the station with a gift, a terrestrial garden, specially designed to withstand the artificial gravity while showcasing Earth's botanical diversity. "A bridge between our worlds," she called it, proving that beauty can flourish in the harshest conditions when tended with care. Watching the human ship depart, Thela reflected on how wrong their preconceptions had been. They had feared Earth's Deathworlders would be monsters of uncontrolled power. Instead, they had found something far more remarkable, beings whose greatest strength lay not in their powerful bodies, but in their capacity to use that power with wisdom, restraint, and compassion. The true test of this newfound trust, however, was about to come, and sooner than anyone expected. Storm on the horizon. The warning came from a distant Vilaxian colony in the Meridian sector. Their distress beacon told a horrifying tale. Ships of unknown origin had appeared without warning, their crews possessed of terrible strength and violent intentions. The colony's crystalline structures lay shattered, their resources plundered, their people traumatized but thankfully alive. "The Kravoks," whispered High Chancellor Voss, his skin darkening to a deep indigo of dread. "We thought they were just stories to frighten children." Thela stood before the Emergency Council session, her research team's findings displayed in hovering crystalline projections. "They're very real, Chancellor. Another Deathworld species, but unlike humanity, they've embraced the darker potential of their physical power." The attacks continued. 3 more colonies hit in rapid succession, each raid following the same pattern: swift arrival, brutal efficiency, and a calculated level of destruction that left the Vilaxians alive but terrified. The message was clear: pay tribute or face worse consequences. Ambassador Josephine Patel's face was grim on the emergency communication channel. "The Kravoks have been busy in other sectors too. We've received reports from the Centauri Trading Alliance about similar raids. They're testing defenses, establishing a pattern of terror." First Assistant Wren, now promoted to Security Coordinator, presented tactical data. "Their ships are heavily armed, their crews physically powerful. They know we can't fight them directly, our bodies simply aren't capable of matching their strength." "Then let us help," Josephine offered. "Earth's defense fleet is ready. We can have ships at your major colonies within days." But the council remained divided. Councillor Zinn voiced what many feared: how can we trust one Deathworld species to protect us from another? What if this crisis leads to humanity claiming our worlds under the guise of protection? The debate might have continued indefinitely if not for the arrival of an unexpected visitor. A Kravoks raider, captured by human patrol ships near the Centauri sector, had requested asylum. Under heavy security protocols, they brought him to the Vilaxian station. The Kravoks prisoner, who called himself Grax, was a massive figure even by human standards. His scaled skin and reinforced bone structure spoke of evolution on a world even harsher than Earth. But his eyes held something unexpected: shame. "My people were not always this way," Grax explained to the assembled council. "We were proud warriors once, with a code of honor. But our new leaders." He gestured with one powerful arm. "They believe that strength gives them the right to take whatever they want. They see your gentle nature as weakness to be exploited. And why should we trust your words?" Councillor Zinn demanded. "Because I've seen another way." Grax turned to Ambassador Patel. Humans. They have strength like ours, but they use it to build, to protect, to create beauty. When they captured our ship, they could have destroyed us. Instead, they offered medical care to our wounded, treated us with dignity despite our actions. Thela watched the council members' skin colors shift through various shades of consideration. She added her own voice to the discussion. We feared humans once, just as we fear the Kravoks now. But humanity showed us that physical power doesn't have to equal moral corruption. They've proven themselves through actions, not just words. The debate lasted through 3 full cycles, but in the end, pragmatism won out over fear. The Council voted to accept Earth's offer of protection, with conditions. Human ships would patrol Vilaxian space, but all colonies would maintain their autonomy. Joint defense protocols would be established, with both species contributing according to their strengths. As the alliance took shape, something unexpected happened. Human engineers worked with Vilaxian scientists to develop new defensive technologies that combined both species' innovations. Hybrid shield systems merged human durability with Vilaxian crystalline energy distribution. Joint training programs helped Vilaxians understand how to use their natural agility and intelligence to counter raw strength. But the Kravoks weren't idle. Their raids grew bolder, their attacks more coordinated. Intelligence suggested they were gathering for something bigger, a massive strike that would either cement their dominance or break their power entirely. They're coming, Grax warned during a strategy session. And they won't stop until someone proves that strength alone isn't enough to rule the stars. As Thela helped coordinate the final preparations for the coming conflict, she found herself working closely with the human defense teams. Their presence, once so frightening, now brought comfort. They moved through the reinforced sections of the station with careful grace, their power held in check by choice rather than necessity. "Are you afraid?" she asked Commander Sonya Volkov, the human fleet coordinator. "Of the fighting?" "No," Sonya replied, checking holographic defense grids. "I'm afraid of failing those who trust us. But that fear makes us stronger, it reminds us what we're fighting for." The alert came at last, a massive Kravoks battle fleet, dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of Vilaxian territory. The time for debate was over. Now they would learn if this alliance between gentle wisdom and protective strength could stand against pure aggression. The storm was about to break. Battle of Two Worlds. The Kravoks battle fleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of angry predators, their ships' angular profiles bristling with weapons. Thela watched from the Joint Command Center as tactical displays showed 47 warships approaching the Vilaxian colony of Crystal Haven, home to over 3 million of her people. "They're trying to make a statement," Commander Volkov observed, her calm voice belying the tension in the room. "This isn't just about resources anymore, they want to break our alliance before it can truly begin." The human defense fleet seemed painfully small in comparison, just 12 ships positioned around the colony. But Thela had learned not to underestimate Earth's military capabilities, just as she'd learned not to underestimate their resolve. "All civilian shelters report secure," Ren announced, his skin pulsing with nervous energy. Crystalline shield matrix at full power. The Kravoks commander's transmission was predictably arrogant. His massive form filled the view screen, cybernetic enhancements glinting along his scaled skin. "Surrender the colony and withdraw your human protectors. Otherwise, we will demonstrate what true Deathworlders are capable of." Ambassador Patel, standing beside the Vilaxian Council representatives, stepped forward. "We decline. Crystal Haven is under Earth's protection. Withdraw now, or face the consequences of your aggression." The battle began moments later. The Kravoks fleet split into attack formations, clearly expecting to overwhelm the human ships through sheer numbers. But humanity had planned for this moment, and they weren't fighting alone. Vilaxian sensor operators, their natural affinity for complex data streams enhanced by human processing systems, provided targeting data with impossible precision. Human gunners, their reflexes honed by evolution on a heavy world, made every shot count. The first wave of Kravox ships found their weapons scattered by crystalline shields that adapted faster than they could adjust their targeting. But the Kravox had come prepared for a long fight. Their second wave launched boarding pods, hundreds of them, each containing warriors in powered armor. "They're trying to turn this into close combat," Grax warned from his advisory position. "They believe your people will be helpless against their boarding parties." Commander Volkov smiled grimly. "Then they're in for a surprise. Execute Operation Tandem." The boarding pods smashed through the outer layers of Crystal Haven's defenses, but instead of finding helpless Vilaxians, the Kravox warriors encountered something unprecedented: human Vilaxian defense teams. Vilaxian operators used their crystalline technology to disable the powered armor systems, while human marines engaged the Kravox in close combat. "We don't need to be stronger than them," Thela realized, watching the tactical feeds. "We just need to be smarter, working together." The space battle evolved into a complex dance. Human ships, guided by Vilaxian sensor data, executed maneuvers that seemed to defy physics. Crystalline shields, powered by human engineering, withstood impacts that should have shattered them. But the Kravox pressed their attack with increasing desperation, and casualties mounted on both sides. The turning point came 9 hours into the battle. A Kravox dreadnought, commanded by their fleet admiral, broke through the outer defense line. It seemed victory was within their grasp, until they realized it was exactly where the defenders wanted them. "Now!" Commander Volkov ordered. Hidden emplacements around the colony activated, emitting crystalline resonance fields that the Vilaxians had developed. The fields disrupted the Kravox ship's power systems, leaving them vulnerable. Human vessels surged forward, their combined fire overwhelming the dreadnought's weakened defenses. The Kravox admiral's final transmission radiated disbelief. "How? You're outnumbered, outgunned." "Because we're not fighting alone," Commander Volkov replied. "Strength isn't just about physical power. It's about standing together, protecting each other." Something you never understood. The remaining Kravox ships retreated in disarray, leaving their disabled dreadnought behind. As human and Vilaxian medical teams worked together to treat the wounded from both sides, Thela found herself in the colony's main medical bay, helping coordinate relief efforts. A wounded human marine lay on a reinforced bed, being treated by a Vilaxian medical team using their advanced crystalline healing technology. Nearby, a human doctor used their steady hands and physical strength to help reset a Vilaxian's fractured crystal structure. Different species, different strengths, working in perfect harmony. Ambassador Patel joined Thela at the observation window. "This is what we fought for," she said softly. "Not just survival, but proof that different kinds of strength can work together. That being powerful doesn't mean having to stand alone." As the adrenaline of battle faded, Thela realized that something profound had changed. The Vilaxians had feared Earth's Deathworlders, then accepted them as protectors, but now they had become something more, true partners, each species' strengths complementing the others. The Kravox had sought to break their alliance. Instead, they had forged it into something unbreakable. Legacy of Trust. 1 year after the Battle of Crystal Haven, the Vilaxian research station where it all began had transformed. The reinforced, heavy world zones had expanded to cover most of the facility, but not because of necessity. The Vilaxians had chosen to make their home more welcoming to their human friends. Thela stood in the newly completed Harmony Garden, where earth plants grew alongside crystalline Vilaxian flora. The garden's design itself told the story of their journey. Strong human-engineered supports cradled delicate Vilaxian crystal formations, creating something more beautiful than either species could have achieved alone. "Still hard to believe how much has changed," Ren remarked, his skin shimmering with contentment as he joined her. Now serving as director of interspecies relations, he had overseen many of the changes that reshaped their society. The defeat of the Kravox fleet had rippled through the galaxy. Other species that had suffered under their raids began reaching out to the human-Vilaxian alliance. The Kravoks themselves, their leadership overthrown in the wake of their defeat, were undergoing their own transformation under the guidance of reformers like Grax. Ambassador Patel's vision of cooperation had expanded far beyond mere defense. Human engineers worked alongside Vilaxian scientists, combining their species' strengths to solve problems neither could tackle alone. Their first major success, a revolutionary medical technology that used crystalline healing matrices powered by human-designed energy systems, had already saved thousands of lives across multiple species. In the station's new Joint Training Center, Commander Volkov was teaching a class of young Vilaxians. Not how to fight, but how to understand and work with physically stronger species. Meanwhile, Vilaxian instructors taught human students the art of crystalline technology and energy manipulation. "We were so wrong about them," Thela said, watching a human child carefully holding a Vilaxian crystal growth experiment. "We thought physical strength meant they had to be destroyers. We never imagined they could be the most gentle builders." The station's central chamber now hosted the Galactic Cooperation Council, where representatives from dozens of species, both Deathworlders and Lightworlds, worked together to forge a new kind of interstellar community. They had learned from the human Vilaxian example that different types of strength could complement each other rather than compete. High Chancellor Voss, his skin now bearing the pearlescent sheen of wisdom, often said that the true victory wasn't the defeat of the Kravoks, but the proof that fear could be overcome by understanding. Each day brought new examples, human construction teams using their strength to help rebuild damaged Vilaxian colonies, Vilaxian scientists developing safer ways for physically stronger species to interact with delicate technology. The changes weren't always easy. Cultural misunderstandings still occurred, and both species had to constantly learn and adapt. But the fear that had once paralyzed them was gone, replaced by curiosity and mutual respect. Thela's research station had become famous across the galaxy, not for discovering humans, but for proving that strength and gentleness could coexist. Young scientists from both species now trained there, learning to see the universe through each other's eyes. As she completed her final research paper on human-Vilaxian relations, Thela reflected on their journey. The last paragraph summed up everything they had learned. "We feared Earth's Deathworlders because we couldn't imagine strength being used for anything but dominance. What they taught us was that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to protect. Their physical power, which once terrified us, became the foundation of our greatest advances, not because they used it to control us, but because they used it to support us. In doing so, they helped us discover our own kinds of strength, proving that the best future isn't built by the strongest alone, but by those who learn to combine their different strengths in service of something greater than themselves." The message spread across the galaxy: being strong didn't mean having to be feared. The humans had shown that power could protect, build, and heal. As more species joined their alliance, the old fears about Deathworlders faded into history, replaced by a new understanding that diversity, even in strength, was something to be celebrated rather than feared. And it had all started with one brave human step through an airlock, and one Vilaxian researcher who dared to look past her fears to see the truth about Earth's Deathworlders, that the strongest beings in the galaxy could also be the gentlest of friends.